building conversations in terms of what kind of future are we looking at, what kind of future do we want to build, and how best do we get to build that future together. Right, collectively we can achieve so much, but it starts with you as an individual, with the kind of works that you do. What you're putting out there, it's what the universe will respond to. Right, joined by Angela James this afternoon. Angela, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all of the listeners. For those, and I love the way that you're playing on the word choice. You know, that's my favorite word on the whole planet.
No, I was telling a friend earlier on that I think in my next life I should come back as a rap artist.
As a rap artist, okay.
Yes.
I think you do pretty well. I love listening to you when we prep for the show and the music's playing. I love listening to you singing because you've got a pretty remarkable voice. So we are joined this afternoon by yet another remarkable individual who lives in Cape Town.
Right.
And it's not that all the remarkable people live in Cape Town. Okay, let's just get that straight. We've got lots of remarkable people all over the place. But Shirley Botes is one of the people who I really would like to just, you know, when you start to talk about your banking on Africa's future and the points of light, this is a lady who is a point of light of incredible proportion from Cape Town. The work she does is incredible with youngsters in the scarce resource communities. Mm-hmm. I hate the word township. It's so done. It's a scarce resource community. And what she does with sport and how she uplifts young people is just incredible. So, Shirley, before I hand over to you for you to tell a little bit about your story, just to kind of position for everybody where we are this week on the Responsible Citizens Challenge, we're focusing on hashtag Choose to Give this week. We've come through quite a long journey, and I know some of you may have heard this a few times, but just for the benefit of anybody who's new today, and also just for Shirley's good, or for Shirley to position where we're at, is we've been working for the last 9 weeks on a Responsible Citizen Challenge via the 1873 morning and afternoon shows with radio hosts together. We have been engaged in quite vibrant and interesting discussions. The Responsible Citizenship Challenge came off the back of the work that we did last year with the Nelson Mandela, or for the Nelson Mandela Centenary year, and our Choices board game. And the question was posed, what's next? So what's next became a whole dialogue around responsible citizenship. So over the 10 weeks, we've looked at responsible citizenship, choosing to care, choosing to lead, choosing Ubuntu, which is our humanity, then choosing our planet, and then we turned it in on individuals in terms of choosing to be a responsible citizen. And those themes were around choosing my purpose, choosing to learn, choosing to serve, choosing to earn, which is what we did last week, off the back of the value that I add into the world. And this week is choose to give. And Shirley is an individual who gives an enormous amount of herself into the development of youth within Cape Town through Street Soccer. So, Shirley, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you've faced some incredible challenges in your own life that you've overcome, and how the power of purpose has driven you to a point where your choice to give is to develop kids and keep them off the streets.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good afternoon, all listeners. I'm just a normal mom in Cape Town, has a passion to work with kids, trying to invest where it's really needed. This is coming from probably my background. Life wasn't good when I grew up. A lot of abuse and stuff took place. And sometimes when those things used to happen to me, I would literally sit under my grandma's table and say, can't somebody just come in at the door and just take me away? And now that I'm in my adult life, I now devote my life, my extra time, my free time to kids, just to create a safe haven to kids. And obviously, one or two things. I used to be part of the emergency volunteer services, coordinator for the fire team. They needed to be 16, and in our communities, normally when kids finish matric, they have nothing on their CV. It's just a normal CV, and that was created so that kids from that age can be part of volunteer firefighting teams. And then when they eventually finish matric, they have something solid on their CV. The other part of me that I do full on is under the wing of Sporting Chance. They are a sporting coaching organization that provides sports to 40 regions in South Africa. I'm probably the longest standing coordinator under their wing, doing what I'm doing in my own community. And obviously there's other communities also who are participating in that. When I do these things, I obviously have to reach out to other organizations to help with funding, sponsorships and stuff like that. And I think they've told you that Rotary is also sometimes full on with these programs, because that is what you want to do. You want to invest in that part that really, in that community that really needs it. I mean, the street soccer is actually called the Sportsman's Warehouse Street Soccer. They are fully sponsoring this tournament for a full 2 months, which will end the 22nd of November, for the pitch in Ocean View. And the area where we play, the 4 pitches that we have at the moment, I can actually tell you it's a war zone. They're shooting. Every day they are shooting there. These kids hear these things all the time. And what is so significant to me is whenever we play there, nothing is happening. And a lady came out about 2 weeks ago and she's like, Shirley, can't you keep on having these games here? Because the only time there isn't shooting is when you're here. And that meant so much to me, you know. These kids, after those soccer games that end at 5:30 or 4:30 in the afternoon, every Friday, they literally go inside, nobody comes outside. At night, the gunshots start. And they are so traumatized, and people have no idea what these kids are going through. So why not bring in the platform for them to, let me put it this way, just to be kids. Let them just be kids. And for that 3-4 hours, providing that platform for them, just be okay and not have to worry about anything. I just actually have the passion to be with kids and do things in a sporting way because it's healthy. You teach them about nutrition and all of those things, you know, they learn. But I don't know, I said I'll probably go to my grave and still doing it for the kids. That was
so how many children would you say have passed through your hands to your street soccer? You yourself?
I am probably not going to be funny now. Thousands, if I can say this. This is many years, 12 years of doing this. So thousands, I would literally say that thousands. And today, some of those. Yes.
Yeah. Carry on. No, carry on.
And today, for some of those kids, you can see that I planted a seed because they have become. You know, they never thought that they would be there, but with the necessary help probably from myself, they are better people today. And that is what I said. It's also a learning process for them. Some of these kids come on those fields and all they want from me, I'm one person running everything. All they want is just a hug from Auntie Shirley. That's all they want. Nothing else, because they don't get this at home. So now you can ask me what you want to do.
Okay, what I wanted to actually say is relate to what you're talking to. I mean, we've just won the World Soccer World Cup over the weekend. Yes. And when you listen to Theo's story, he's come from a similar environment to where you are working with these kids in Ocean View.
Yes.
And he had similar experiences in the sense of growing up in an impoverished environment, going through his trials in, his silky shorts instead of a proper pair of sports shorts. And if you look at the power of the choices that he made because he was given a platform like you're providing with these kids, or that like you're providing for these kids, is that particular event, that particular exposure that he was exposed to gave him the opportunity and the context to make better choices and look at where he's landed up today at the age of 20.
Exactly.
And that's the thing is that, and a lot of the work that you're doing is providing them with a hand up and not a hand out.
There we go.
So, I mean, you are so humble and so modest in terms of what you achieve. You also run your own business. You're a mom. Your husband is in the Navy. So, you know, there must be a lot of times where you are single momming as well over and above all of the things that you do.
They call me the mom of all kids here. So that is just how it goes. They get so familiar with you over the years. And even if there's not a tournament on, I would literally say if I can make every corner in this place, they would literally run after your car and ask, when is there something again? When is there something? So I am in a fortunate position to provide that platform for them with the necessary help from the Sporting Chance organization and also Sportsman's Warehouse who's funding it. So I am better than blessed, and I said to you earlier on that it's the power of one. The power of one can do so many things. And obviously you need to have the passion to be able to work with kids. You need to be able to be a people's person. You know, I can go to places and render a speech. I'm a guest speaker next week at the 16 Days Activism thing here in this area. And he could have asked anybody else, but he wanted to hear my story. And I felt honored to be able to do that. It's just how you are with these kids. And they create something that many kids come to me, running to me, and sometimes they say to me, Auntie Shirley, I wish you were my mom. And that alone just creeps in your heart, and it just goes through you like nothing else ever. Just for a child to say, I wish you were my mom. But I am honored, I am blessed to be in the position that I am, so that I can be the safe haven to these kids, because their house should be a safe haven. If they can't find it there, they're going to go look at school for that. And then you get to school and you still don't get that. So we need to have this extra something for them outside those two bounds and really create that safe haven for them. And merely that is basically what I'm trying to do. And I will never stop doing it for as long as I live.
Something that, and I just want to kind of pick up on what you're saying and kind of give it a little bit more context, because this morning we had a really interesting conversation again with Nandi Bester up here in Joburg, and she was speaking around the fact that most people think that when they're giving, or if they're asked to give, that they're going to lose something. And she coined the phrase as she was talking around changing the framework around giving, because that's our theme this week is Choose to Give. Changing the framework around giving in terms of, where was I? I had my phone ringing in my ear. Changing the framework around giving to mean something different, where giving becomes a unification process rather than people seeing it as loss. Because a lot of people see giving as having to give up something. And if I have to give something up, then I'm going to have less, or I'm going to be less. Whereas what you are saying today, that's completely the opposite.
I don't even think that way. I don't think that. I think if I give and more of myself and what I have to offer to these kids, young kids, that experiencing so many things, the only thing I can really tell you that I'm better than blessed. I'm better than blessed. People won't understand that. But I will keep on giving till I can't give anymore. Most of the week, I put my own hand in my pocket. Does it say something? No. I'm just a normal human being who wants to be a safe haven for kids. So you keep on giving, and the more you give, the more you become who you are. So, I mean, I don't want titles. I don't want anything. With the Rotary Club awarded me 2 international vocational awards, of which you can literally just get one of it in your whole entire lifetime. I got 2 from different Rotary clubs just for what I'm doing. And it's not about that for me. It's not about acknowledgement. It's really not about having a piece of paper and say, thank you for what you're doing. People don't even have to say that, because the mere fact that I can add those kids to myself for a few hours on a weekday, that alone is enough. I have 2 big boys, and I'm still their mom. Obviously, my priority is first with them and then other kids. But they have become the young men that I wanted them to become, not because of mom, but because of what I instilled within them. If I could have got it right with them, how come I can't get it right with other kids? And the result is there. You can see this changes in these kids just for doing something that they love, enjoy doing.
And it comes down again to choices. It really comes down to what are the kinds of choices that we make each and every day. How do we choose to impact on the world around us? How do we choose to engage? What of ourselves can we give to others in the sense of, sometimes, we were talking this morning, sometimes it's as little as a smile, it's a hug. It doesn't have to always be big things. Sometimes it's just around the fact that I know that somebody cares about me. And the fact that you are creating a safe haven. If these kids get into trouble, they know they can come to you.
Yes, there's a sense of belonging, because they come to that place to just be a child for a few hours and like you just said, now it's choices. You teach them many, many things. It's not just about coming to the field and doing their thing. No, I always have briefings with them. I always talk to them about little things. And some of these kids need someone like us to guide them and guide them in the right direction. Well, then enable them to be able to make good choices later on in their life. So yes, why can't I give? I have nothing to lose. Nothing at all. I can just give and give and I won't stop.
You know, I think the thing that you're talking about, and this is really, it does take special people to do this, because it is around how people can take their own adversity and turn it into the manner through which they give, not just into triumph. But taking their part of the story, their adversity that they've gone through, the wounds that they have experienced, and using those wounds to heal others.
Absolutely. You know, that is why people like me is around. That is why people like me are around. So imagine I wasn't there. Obviously, there's other people in the area that also do some good, but I particularly focus on sports. And that is just my ultimate thing. I think the kids enjoy sports more, and that is where they can really live out who they are. So yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
You went through, sorry, Walter, I just want to say something quickly before I hand over to you. We'll bring you into the conversation, because you know we girls can just chat.
Right.
But you went through some really tough times yourself. I mean, we are very blessed.
Oh, yes. I lived through my whole entire life, and I think that is we are a musical family and we are a sports family. And my thing was I was sexually abused from the age of 4 till the age of about 15. Every single day. I couldn't even open my mouth to say anything to anybody. I was literally threatened, or I was just not listened to. So I think what I do today is a lot to do with that. You know, that I am now the way I am towards kids. And I think that is where the love for everything comes from. And when sometimes I was just being kicked or battered or hit with a fist for no apparent reason. And honestly, I was the sweetest girl ever. As far as I know, I've done nothing wrong, and then this is what happened to you. But I think that is actually playing a big role for me to do today what I do. And that is why I'm so passionate about what I do.
How much healing have you received by doing what you do?
When I met my husband, the very first time, actually the very first date, I actually told him what happened to me. And he said to me, I said to him, please just don't touch me otherwise, unless I know you or anything. I'm not ready for nothing, but I will see how it goes. And he then said to me, his first words was, now I love you even more, by just telling me. He was the first person to listen to me, to what I have to say, after all those years. And then we went then for counseling and all of that. He literally went with me doing it until I was just fine. And I think at that point, it was the right time, the right place, everything, the right person came in your life. And you could then now deal with that. And for me, dealing with that at such an early age, even way before I got married, that was my healing process.
And I'm sure the kids, the service that you do to the kids, just layers in on top of that healing.
Absolutely. Yes. See, I'm not just who I am. I'm a mom to them too. So you can easily see when something is wrong, and you can relate. I can relate because I've been through that. I don't know. I'm just going to mention something outside this line. When you go see a psychologist, when you have a problem and you need to speak to someone, they tend to say that they understand. They're sitting behind the table and they tell you, oh, no, we understand. I don't think so. If you haven't went through that, if you haven't been in my shoes, you have no idea what I went through. So with me now, went through all of those things in my childhood years. Now with these kids, I can easily see when there's something wrong with one of the kids. And I will ask them, what's happening? No, my mom don't want me to come play because of this and this and this. I will literally take time out and go to the parent and say, he really enjoys doing this. But you know, you get different households, and many households by now have lost the family values. So you kind of have to play it the nice way, the right way. And because I can relate to many of the things that ever has happened to kids. And I think that makes me also the person that I am today. Because if you don't understand what they go through, how can you tell them I understand? You don't. Nobody does. So they needed somebody, I came their path, and they needed somebody that can relate to them when they were in some kind of problem or something at home.
One of the things that also came out of our discussion this morning with Nandi was the fact that the youth, one of the things that the youth are desperately crying for and desperately asking for, and it's not just the little youth, but it's the youth themselves, are asking that their voices be heard. And that I'm hearing that coming through your conversation as well, through the experiences that you've been through.
Yes.
At that time, until your husband, there was nobody who heard you. Nobody gave you the opportunity to be able to voice what was going on for you.
No one did listen. And if I did tell somebody in the family, I was just slapped, keep your mouth shut. No matter who it was, and I told them, nobody listened to me. And I think we really need to strength-based think of avenues like that for youngsters, where they can freely go to and someone just listen to them. Up till today, I can assure you there's so many organizations that has been formed just for that. But I still don't think there is enough, because certain areas have it and certain areas don't have it. A child in this area, why must he go outside his own boundary just to be able to go talk to someone? So we need to create something within, call it a community initiative or something, people that have the expertise to be able to do that. And let's just sit in an office where they just allow kids to come and talk. Social workers are fully booked. You wait for months and months on just to go speak to someone. And that is totally unacceptable. So you are 100% right. You guys had that conversation this morning. Youth needs to be heard. They need to be heard. And I think if youth are being listened to, then we will probably have less of what the youth are going through today.
Mm-hmm. So, wildfire.
Yes, Angela.
We've been talking about points of light
Mm-hmm.
and this beautiful light in Cape Town that shines so brightly with so many children and touches so many children's lives. What are your thoughts as you listen to what Shirley has been elaborating on as part of our Choose to Give theme this week?
I mean, it goes back to what I've always said, Angela, that many a times we've got a lot of unsung heroes out there, individuals that are really making a difference in their own communities, but we don't have platforms to showcase these individuals, hence the creation of Banking on Africa's Future. And it gives me a great pleasure to note that Shirley is actually 87 of 120, right? And we move Shirley to Banking on Africa's Future, 10,000 points of light. She becomes 558, number 558 in terms of individuals that are speaking about the works that they're doing, even speaking about their past, what she went through from the age of 4 until she was 15. She says, nobody cared to listen. And how do we start educating people about really paying attention? At times it's not about the victim speaking out, but it's about the observation of people around us. What is it? What are the signs that they are picking from wildfire, from Shirley, that they think, okay, no, this shouldn't be right, So how do we start that engagement, Shirley, of saying, look, there is a problem, but we have solutions? How do we begin such conversations?
Is that what you asked me now?
Yeah. Trust the people to you.
No. Like I said just now,
Mm-hmm.
I think strongly, we need to really create something in that particular area. We need to. Because in today's life, I think generations have changed a lot. I can easily tell you, maybe I'm lucky to have grown up in 2 years time, I'm 50. I'm lucky to have grown up in those years But as the generation grew, it has totally changed, behavior-wise, all of those things. So you kind of need to create something that is adaptable to the new generation today. It's like today's generation, I feel they are like born 20 years older. If you're 1 year old, you're really not 1 year old, you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because a 10-year-old can today tell a mom exactly what they want. And I don't want that, I want that.
Right.
So I think there's things in the household needs to be shifted. In fact, it starts at home. But that is the type of household we can't start, So they're going to look for avenues outside. So we need to create and look for solutions for today's generation. Because you can't deal with them like you've dealt with them 20 years ago. It's totally changed. So we need to get the necessary people in. And not just say things. Start doing something about it. Many people form things and nothing really happens at all. I can tell you that personally. Because I'm sitting with a youth here in Ocean View that doesn't know where to go to. I mean, I'm one person that can make a change, but I'm one person against how many kids here?
This is one of the things that, and part of, I think, Wildfire, this is where you see radio playing a huge role in terms of providing content and information to young people that is young people relevant. So that's the one point that I wanted to make, and I know Wildfire is going to expand on that. The second thing that I want to say to you is that as you're talking about this and starting to look at how we generate solutions, the youth have the ideas. But because they're not being heard, they're taking their ideas into destructive spaces. So it's not just about a platform to be heard, it's a platform for the youth to come up with solutions that are relevant to their generation. Yes, they need guidance. Yes, they need support in the form of mentoring. But more often than not, these, as you say, these youth are not just 1, they're 10. They have got so many creative ideas and solutions, but nobody's listening to them. So they fall in the cracks, or they are taken into spaces that become dysfunctional.
Yes. I like what you just said now. I like that. I will probably use it somewhere in a speech or something. No, I like what you said. You said just now, the youth themselves, in their own generation, they should personally look for the solution. I like that. Absolutely.
Correct.
I like that. Because they would know how.
Yes. When they do, they own it instead of having something enforced on them.
But
so it's about creating It's about creating an empowering environment and context for them to be able to come up with the solutions and then to have the support to execute them.
Yeah, but then they also need to be able to have the support to be able to run those things, And I think then that is the other bigger thing. They can come up with the solutions for them, but they also need, besides the guidance, they need the necessary support from government or any other organizations to really stand and hold firm and saying, we're going to be here for you guys. Do what you do best, the way you think, the way your perceptions are and stuff, or they need the relevant support. Otherwise, what is the use? They're drawing up these papers and say, but this is our own solution. It can work for us. But if there's nothing to hang on to, if there's nothing to hold on to, they're going to come nowhere. They're going to sit like I'm sitting here after all these years, not being heard.
Well, this is also where community comes in, where family, the school, it becomes a whole community-driven imperative. But I think that, we've got to find a starting point, and that starting point is where you see people kids like the seers of the world standing up and wanting to focus on how they can be part of a solution instead of some of the alternatives that they have to choose from.
Yeah.
So Wildfire, back to you.
So, Shirley, thank you so much for actually taking time, and I'm really grateful this conversation took place, and would like to get more conversations from you. This being said, Shirley, I nominate you for the 10,000 points of light under the banner Banking on Africa's Future. As an individual that's really standing out in your community, doing something, not waiting for anybody to come tell you what you need to do, but you know what you need to do. You've made a choice, and that choice is to make sure that each and every kid feels like a kid. You know, you taking these kids out of trouble. You're making sure that the kids really do enjoy their lives, and they've got a platform just to be kids and become kids and enjoy the childhood that they deserve. And that being said and done, the only thing I would ask from you, Shirley, is just 4 hours of your time per year. It could be 10 minutes, just to share with our listeners what you'll be up to, you know, what initiatives you are running out there. And we use radio as a platform.
No, anytime I will make time when you need me to. I don't mind doing that. By all means, you are welcome to contact me at any time, and we can just do what you ask me to do.
Right, Shirley. Thank you so much for that. Angela, wrapping it up for us.
Thank you. And Shirley, I'd love to thank you for your time this afternoon, and I'm humbled indeed in terms of the amount of work that you're doing, the lives that you touch. We talk about, and one of the memes that we put up on 800 Choices this week was around the candle. And it does only take a candle to light the flame within somebody else. And that beacon of light that you are, it's almost like the Cape Point lighthouse that you are down in terms of creating that safe harbor for these children. May those blessings be returned to you 10,000-fold. And I know that they already are when you see the light, the lights switch on and these beautiful faces just light up because they have somewhere to go. And I know that for me, is always thanks enough.
I need to thank you guys.
Right, I know. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you for having me on the show today. It's incredible, you know, when you can voice yourself to other people and let them know that there is things out there, there is people out there who cares. They're not alone, you know. We all have different challenges that we face, especially when it comes to kids. They can't choose for themselves. So thank you for the opportunity that has been given to me today.
Right.
Just voice and just say what I'm about and what I do for kids. Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
All part of the learning that's needed to create a culture and a nation of responsible citizens and of people who choose to give and choose to care. So thank you very much for the light that you hold in Cape Town, for the example that you set of being a responsible citizen. And I certainly hope to get to see you pretty soon. And to meet you face to face, and we'll have some conversation.
I look forward to that too. Thank you so much,
God bless you, and God bless all the listeners that you have tuned in today. And of course, to you, Wildfire, sending lots and lots of big hugs.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for joining us. You have yourselves a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, cheers. Right, 9 minutes before the hour 5, it is your drive on the 1873 FM exclusive drop, Sounds of Enzo with the highest score.
I want the pass, but I shout it. The God did away. Miss everyone more, so I gotta get more. Equal and brave, better than them crew. Hustling more, as the big man, bro. Hustling more like never before. Me not tell a lie, me no wanna miss target. Me make sure, if me want it, me get it. Fearless, me never say don't be less. Call me now when me want. Finally, one thing when me gotta get. I wanna hear me say fearless. Me never say don't be less. Call me now when me want. Highest score. In a real life, me go aim for the greatest. Want me get the best of the best. Highest score. In a real life, me go aim for the greatest. Want me get the best of the best. See, some of them step, long time them step ahead. And me have to believe stuff. Then just go ahead, disappoint them. Cause them wish me to dead. Solid proof, me touch the sky, them can't reach a roof. It's okay, but no, enough. All the times them hard and the times them rough, me and strife. We get the highest score. In a real life, me go. Yeah. I want the pass, but I shout it. The God did away. Miss everyone more, so I gotta get more. Equal and brave, better than them crew. Hustling more, as the big man, bro. Hustling more like never before. Me not tell a lie, me no wanna miss target. Me make sure, if me want it, me get it. Fearless, me never say don't be less. Call me now when me want. Finally, one thing when me gotta get clean. I wanna hear me say fearless. You never said to feel less. Call me now when you want. Highest score. In a real life, me go aim for the greatest. One figure the best of the best. Highest score. In a real life, me go aim for the greatest. One figure the best of the best. See, some of them say, long time them step ahead. I'm here to believe stuff. Then just go ahead, disappoint them. Cause them wish me to dead. Solid proof, me touch the sky, them can't reach a roof. It's okay, but no, yeah, enough. 30 times them hard and the 10s them rough me and strife. We get the highest score. In a real life, me go aim for the greatest. One figure the